Hello and welcome to ActivTrades Weekly Outlook. A slew of fresh earnings reports, many coming out of China, as well as important economic reports will keep us busy this week. Investors will also likely be sifting through speeches from notable central bankers and economists, attending the annual Jackson Hole Symposium this week for clues as to the direction of the future monetary policy. Let's dive in. Germany's annual producer price inflation slowed to 0.1% in June, the lowest reading since December 2020, compared to May's reading of 1%. The PMI on a monthly basis increased from minus 1.4% in May to minus 0.3% in June, and expectations are for a further increase to 0.5% for July, when the new data is released on Monday. The Canadian New Housing Price Index, due on Monday, decreased by 0.7% from the prior year in June, slightly widening the 0.6% reduction in May and making it the third straight month of decline since November 2019. The decline is in part due to the sustained downward pressure from high borrowing rates and is expected to fall further through July to around 0.8% year over year. Major earnings reports are to include BHP. Numbers for existing home sales in the US are due on Tuesday. Having declined 3.3% to a seasonally adjusted annualized 4.16 million units in June, it was the lowest level seen in 5 months. A further dip is forecast for July, down to around 4.15 million sales year over year. Australia's Judo Bank Services and Manufacturing PMIs are scheduled for Tuesday. Services dipped to 47.9 in July, down from 50.3 in June, shrinking for the first time in 4 months and marking the year's lowest rating. The most recent drop in services activity was mostly down to the negative effect on higher interest rates and spending and company confidence. Manufacturing is showing indications of stabilization, however, with a milder contraction in new orders last month, as well as the clearing of backlogged work due to increased workforce levels. Expectations are for an improvement from 49.6 to 50.1 for August. Major earnings reports are to include anti-sports products. Flash manufacturing and services PMIs are due from Japan, France, Germany, the EU area, the UK and the US on Wednesday. Services remained strong across the board last month and many are forecast to remain in growth territory, whereas manufacturing across Europe and the UK and the US are generally well below the power level of 50, indicating contraction in the industry. These are closely watched by investors as PMIs are a leading indication of economic health, as company purchasing managers often have a current and relevant economic outlook. According to a preliminary estimate, Canada's retail sales in June are anticipated to have slowed to around minus 0.1% from the previous month. In May, retail sales increased by 0.2%, which was revised down from the initial estimate of 0.5% increase and slowed from the downwardly revised 1% increase in April. These figures released on Wednesday will likely serve to confirm the effect of tightening monetary policy from the BOC. US new home sales for July are due on Wednesday as well. In June, the seasonally adjusted annualized rate of sales for new single-family homes fell 2.5% from May's 15-month high of 715,000 and fell short of the market estimate of 725,000. The newest data is expected to show an increase to 701,000 for July. Major earnings reports are to include Nvidia Corporation, China Construction Bank and AIA Group. US durable goods orders are due to be released on Thursday. In June, there was a significant increase of 4.7% in new orders, which is the largest month-over-month increase since July 2020 and adds to a growing trend of positive results over 4 consecutive months. July figures are currently forecast to correct the trend and fall by around 4% month-over-month. Thursday marks the beginning of the annual Economic Policy Symposium, which takes place in Jackson Hole, Wyoming over 3 days. It attracts a diverse range of attendees, including central bankers, finance ministers, academics and financial market professionals hailing from various countries around the globe. The press is not granted access to the sessions. However, officials often engage in discussion with reporters over the course of each day. The remarks and addresses delivered by central bankers and other powerful authorities have the potential to generate substantial fluctuations in financial markets. Major earnings reports are to include PetroChina, Meituan Class B, China Citibank, Intuit Corp, Royal Bank of Canada. The second quarter GDP results for Germany are expected to be announced on Friday. Preliminary estimates indicate that the German economy fell 0.2% annually in the second quarter of this year, the same as the previous quarter's corrected 0.2% annual decline, which confirmed that the country had moved into a period of recession. Quarter-over-quarter expansion is also expected to be flat. For the third month in a row, Germany's Ifo Business Climate Index has dropped this time to 87.3, the lowest level since November. As a result of ongoing inflationary pressures and rising borrowing rates, the most recent data indicates that Europe's biggest economy still has strong headwinds to contend in its economic recovery. When the new data is released on Friday, expectations are for another dip to around 86.9 for August. Major earnings reports are to include China Merchants Bank, China Petroleum and Chemical Corp, China Shenhua, Bank of Communications. If you would like to read our full outlook, please visit the analysis section on our website. That's all for this week. Happy trading!